Okay, just moving on, you're voting with Labor on the Housing Australia Future Fund. Now, the Greens have sided with the coalition to delay the housing bill in the Senate until a National Cabinet report on rental reform is there. So that puts it back to October 16, I believe the date is. Mm-hmm. What happened in the Senate? Can you talk us through it?
Mm-hmm. Coalition and the Greens teamed up to essentially kick this bill to August, so the Senate can't deal with it before then. This has been a drawn-out negotiation with the government, very frustrating at times. The Greens and the crossbench have got fairly significant concessions out of them now. They've agreed to index the fund, which is over $6 billion over the next 25 years. The $500 million a year is now guaranteed. The government can actually top up the fund should they want to. The minister can disperse more than $500 million if the fund receives more. At the moment, the Future Fund has been averaging about 9%, which is $900 million a year. So whilst there is broad acceptance that this is not the big answer that we need to housing, it is a start. It is proving a new model, and it's disappointing to see the Greens not bank these gains and continue to push for things like better renters' rights. And for the coalition, really hypocritical from them. They set up over $40 billion worth of future funds to do some really, really good things. Yet they continue to, take shots at this model.
What do you think should happen now? Because we're going to have to wait until October. What do you think the government should do?
Mm-hmm. Well, talking to people here in the ACT, talking to the peak bodies who are involved in community housing, there is a recognition that this is at a point where we have to get moving. And this would actually allow us to invest the money and to start investing in social and affordable housing. Is it enough over the long term? No. But as we know, there is actually limited capacity in the building sector. And so starting with this will actually give us time to begin to ramp that up. And you'd hope that there's more money over time. But this really comes down to Labor and the Greens sorting something out. I think it's the expectation of Australians that the Senate is there to keep a check on the government and to negotiate in good faith. And once legislation that's happened and legislation is there to be voted on, to either say, yes, I'm going to vote for this, or no. And yet what we're seeing is it continuing to be kicked down the road, and no one wins. We've got 300 people a day, 300 Australians a day turning up to try and find crisis accommodation or long-term social housing that are being turned away. And so there is a real urgency to this.
Just getting your thoughts quickly on one final matter. The Pharmacy Guild is calling on the federal government to go back to the drawing board on the 60-day prescriptions after an independent report by an economist says 20,000 jobs could be lost in the sector and more than 600 pharmacies may close as a result of the new dispensing policy. What's your view on this?
It's obviously a pretty heated topic at the moment. We've been doing a lot of consultation with pharmacists, with the Guild, with doctors, talking to people here in the ACT about what it means for them, what their views are. At the heart of this is about making medicines cheaper for people. People in our communities will pay less for medicines now. They'll be able to get 2 months at a time. Some of the things we've been pursuing with the government are around arrangements for aged care. It's very unclear exactly what that's going to look like. There are a few pharmacies here in the ACT that have really invested heavily to be able to serve aged care facilities, and I want to ensure that can continue. So I think there's some details to be worked out. We're continuing to consult with pharmacists, to go to the government to try and work out details like around aged care, like around the opiate dependence treatment program, which is dealing with people in our communities that really do need support, and we need to make sure that it is a smooth transition for them. Ultimately, I think Australians will benefit when we're paying less for medication.
Senator, thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kenny. Thanks for having me.